these things says he, I know your works, that you have a name, that you are alive, but you are dead. It's a shortcoming, isn't it, of human nature, that we only see the external, and that we can only judge the external. And so often, what appears to be the case is not. And the Lord here is instructing this congregation and us as individuals to examine our hearts. For out of the heart proceed, right? They thought they were alive. And perhaps doing all the right things. We get back to dead orthodoxy again, don't we? That they were maybe, doing things based on the law. What do we say? Going through the motions? And they thought, hey, look at all the great and wonderful things we are doing. Look how good we are. We are alive. Perhaps the congregation was growing by leaps and bounds. But the Lord sees so differently. And we can go back to when the Lord had Samuel anoint David as king, and the sons of Jesse, the older sons of Jesse, paraded before him, and each one, Samuel said, oh, that's the king, yeah, that's the one. And the Lord reminds him, don't look on the external. Man looks on the external, but the Lord looks on the heart. When the law is more important than the gospel. When sacrifice becomes the important thing, when the external is elevated, it's time to stop and take a good hard look. You know, go back to the Old Testament. How did all those Old Testament sacrifices work out for the children of Israel? You know, how long before they started cutting corners with the animals they brought? Read Malachi. You know, the Lord there in the opening chapter condemns them for bringing lame and sickly sacrifices. And sarcastically, from our point of view, he tells them, well, you think these sacrifices are good enough for me? Why don't you take them to the governor? Give them to him. Tell him, here's a gift. See what he says. And they knew very well that those sickly animals the governor would not accept. So why would they think that the Lord would accept him also? Whatever is not of faith is a sin. The law is not of faith. It's a difficult line to walk. We simply produce from the gospel from the love of Jesus. And faith doesn't look at it and say, man, see how much I have produced, see how great. Faith says, Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner. See what I have not produced. The gospel is the power of God unto salvation. The gospel is the power of God to a willing heart. And because of that, the Apostle Paul writes as he does, doesn't he? The love of Christ constrains us, moves us. The love of Christ dwell in you richly and daily. And we so easily forget, so quickly return, even in a little bit, to the law. Doing what is right, yes. Doing it because you must, no. Doing it because you are joyful and thankful of the great forgiveness, of the cleansing that Christ has given you. Absolutely. Be alive in your heart and in your soul.